Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another sports stuff video. Today, we are talking about guys in the first round of the 2025 NFL draft. I think could either fall out of the NFL draft and guys I think could sneak into the NFL first round of the draft. So if you guys do enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into this video. I'm very excited. We're only a week away from the NFL draft. As you guys know, I will be going live on Thursday at 7 p.m. and Friday at 6 p.m. going over the NFL draft, doing an NFL draft-a-thon, the 5th annual. So if you guys do want to come and hang out with me and just kind of enjoy, see what's going on. The Browns haven't drafted in 3 years in the first round. Finally, we're drafted, and it's at number 2, so it'll be a fun night. So please, 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 if you have the chance, you have the time to come and watch me, I would very much appreciate it. But let's get to this video. So guys in the first round, I think could fall out, and guys I think could sneak in. So we're gonna be positive first. We're gonna do over guys that they could sneak into the first round first before I talk negatively on some guys. I just feel bad. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to start off being mean right now. So guys I think could sneak into the first round for sure. I think Kevin Winston at safety out of Penn State. This dude was a former first round pick. Unfortunately, he's had a really bad injury this last year. That kind of knocked him out after 2 games. But he was on pace to be a high, probably top 20 pick in the NFL draft. And through the injury, this guy, slipped down boards. But I think if Kevin Winston, if he can get into the his pro day, which I don't know if he has done his pro day yet, but if he can get to some pre-draft combine workouts and he can really impress guys, show he still has his speed, his maneuverability, I think he's a good enough safety to make it into the first round. Again, the tape athleticism he showed in 2023, I definitely think deserves to be a first round pick. And he's gonna be one of those guys that, if he let's say he slips out of the first round and he gets drafted, I think teams will be like, why did we not take this guy when we could? And I think there is a chance that guys could actually trade up into the first round, right? Like, what if a team like the Raiders or a team like the Jaguars who needed safety, they trade back up with the Chiefs or the Eagles at the end of the first round to get that 5th-year option on Kevin, just so maybe he could sit his first year, not really worry about it, recover, and then year 2 he can have a full 4 years to show why he was a first round pick. Another guy I think could be a first round pick. I think Elic Enyemana is another guy that gets slipped into the first round. A lot of guys were really high on Elic when it came to like a few weeks ago, but me, not really my cup of tea at wide receiver. Obviously he's 6'2", 210, only 21. He will be 22 when the NFL season starts, but he's a strong player, has a lot of experience when playing against man coverage. So he's going to be a highly touted guy in this draft. But to me, I just don't see it. Nothing against him. Nothing against him. He's not my type of receiver. He's a slower receiver, not really, a speed guy. He beats guys mainly with, his separation. But when separation comes down in the NFL, it's hard to get separation in the NFL. And I don't think he's enough of an athlete to really get that separation. But like Enyemana, I do think could slip into the first round because I think there is going to be a team that likes these traits, that knows that they can develop those traits, and he's going to go in the first round. The guy I think at wide receiver who definitely will be a first round pick though is Jayden Higgins. I think Jayden Higgins is, in my opinion, the #1 pure threat wide receiver in this class. He is a true #1 wide receiver. He is 6'4", 215, 22 years old. He's a true #1 dominant X receiver. At Iowa State as well. Not even at one of these big colleges is at Iowa State. But very, very refined and diverse route tree. You can run almost any route in the route book. Very fast hands, very fast legs as well. This dude off a twitch could easily break off into 7 route and take it to the crib. I believe in him. I believe in Jayden Higgins. I think if I'm gonna bet on anyone in the second round at wide receiver going in the first, it's gonna be Jayden Higgins. And I think he can go as high as like 24 or 25, right? I think the Texans, they could grab Jayden Higgins. I think they see a lot of Nico Collins and Jayden Higgins. The Lions could easily grab him as an outside threat to replace Jameson Williams. The Commanders, they absolutely need another wide receiver. But Jayden Higgins at wide receiver is my main #1 option of guys that could go into the first rounds. For some reason, Mykel Williams has been slipping down boards. I don't know why. I mean, Mykel Williams is one of the most dominant run defenders in this class, but he's currently not being mocked in the first round all of a sudden. Just 3 weeks ago, if you say Mykel Williams is not going to be a first rounder, I would laugh at you. And now he's, they're saying he's a top 40 prospect instead of a top 25 prospect. I still think Mykel Williams, yes, he's not as great of a pass rusher as you'd want him to be. He's still an A+ run defender. And I think there are going to be teams that are reliant on him being a dominant run defender and him eventually building on those pass rushing skills. Another guy at edge I think is slipping into the first round, I think, is Landon Jackson. He's 6'7", 280, dominant size. Whether it's an inside, in a 3-4 defensive end or a 4-3 D tackle, I think Landon Jackson is going to end up being a first round draft pick. I don't see him slipping into the second round. If he is in the second round, someone's going to take him, and they're going to be absolutely thrilled that they got him. One of the best run defenders in this class, again, probably behind Michael Williams, number 2 and number 3 in this class in pure run defending on the edge. He had 20 hurries last year as well, 7 sacks last year. He's showing that he wants to get better at pass rushing while still keeping that dominant run defending streak inside of him. I think Landon Jackson, kind of like what's his name with the Cardinals last year. They drafted him early in the first round towards number 20, 25. I think absolutely you're going to see a guy like Landon Jackson get a lot of hype the week leading up into the NFL draft, and he's going to get drafted. Another guy I think could be in the first round. I think Derek Harmon from Oregon could easily slip into the first round. Very undersized D tackle, but this dude has a high motor, active hands in the passing lanes, is a really good run defender. I think Derek Harmon, even though he's undersized, I absolutely think he get into a first round. And if he does go in the second round, I think a lot of people are going to be very happy that he slipped into the second round. And finally, the last guy I think who slipped into the first round is going to be Princely Umanmielen. Princely Umanmielen, this dude is my number 1 round 2 pass rusher. He is 23, so obviously, he's kind of an older prospect. No wonder he's going to be a little bit better than some of the younger guys in this class. But outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense, I've been saying Princely Umanmielen is going to be the guy that just somehow gets drafted in the first round. Everyone's going to go, whoa, what the heck? Who is this? Why is he going in the first round? This is way too early. And he'll be a consistent 8 to 12 sack guy in his career. Like, that's why I think Princely Umanmielen's floor is around 5 to 8 sacks a year. And his ceiling is like the consistent 12 to 13 sacks, getting like $25 million a year. As a dude who's just a really good pass rusher. He's a solid run defender. I wouldn't say he's one of the best run defenders in the world, but when it comes to pass rushing, this is one of my tier 1 guys when it comes to pass rushing, and I have no issue saying that. A lot of people are gonna call me crazy. I don't care. I think he is absolutely a tier 1 pass rusher when it comes to purely getting to the quarterback. So that's gonna be my guys. I think slip into the first round. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Mostly gonna be defensive linemen. I think it's a very deep defensive line class. So I think because it's so deep that guys they'll be willing to take chances on guys who are later on the board, taking them in the first round because they trust their skills more. Because let's just say, for example, right now, the guy from Tennessee, Omar Norman Lott, is getting a lot of first round hype. He is not better than a lot of the guys I just mentioned. He is not, in my opinion. So I think there'd be teams that are like, okay, we can get Omar in the second round. Let's just go ahead and grab the Princely Umanmielen, the Landon Jackson we know is to be there at our pick in the first. But some guys I think could slip out of the first round. I don't want to be mean. I really don't, but it just gotta be talked about, right? I think Luther Burden can absolutely slip out of the first round. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's like what could happen? What could happen, right? He is a very athletic wide receiver, very raw, very non-polished wide receiver. I think when it comes to Luther Burden, he's not going to be a prototypical wide receiver 1. I've been saying that Courtland Sutton is kind of like my comp for Luther Burden. A bigger receiver, very long arms, wants to, get the ball no matter what in his hands, wherever he needs to catch it. I think Luther Burden can be that wide receiver. But that's his ceiling, is Courtland Sutton. Do you want to take a Courtland Sutton in the first round? Or would you rather take a Courtland Sutton in the second or third? That's a conversation I think NFL teams are going to be having. When it comes to guys like Emeka Egbuka, you know what they are. They're very polished. When it comes to guys like Jaden Higgins, when it comes to guys like Jack Beck, when it comes to guys like even Ted McMillan to a point, I think he just doesn't have it, right? I think he's still good. I think Luther Burden can still be a productive player in the NFL. But when it comes to positional value and it comes to guys I think you can get later in the first round or later in the second round that are either equal or more explosive than Luther Burden or fit a role better for your team, I think there is going to be a chance that he slips out of the first round. I don't think it's going to happen. I think someone will take the bullet and they will grab him. But I think it will be much later in the first round than people are thinking, and a chance that maybe a team doesn't take him at all in the first round. Next guy I think could slip out of the first round is going to be Matthew Golden. I think Matthew Golden is one of the worst first round guys to get hype all of a sudden. I mean, yes, he's talented, right? Very good at beating press man coverage, very good jump ball guy, but I just don't see Matthew Golden being a top wide receiver, right? I like I said earlier, I think Emeka Egbuka is better. I think Jaden Higgins is better. You can have a conversation with Elic Enyemana and Jack Beck are better than Matthew Golden, and that's just me. I just don't see it in Matthew Golden. Isaiah Bonds, at a point, in my opinion, could be better than Matthew Golden. I just don't see it. I don't see the skill set that people are saying. Maybe there's a team in the NFL that does see it, and maybe I'm the one that's wrong. I'm happy to admit I don't know everything. Obviously, when it comes to the NFL, scouts and coaches and GMs know more than I do for the most part. So I think Matthew Golden could go in the first round, but if I'm a draft guy, I'm not taking Matthew Golden anywhere near the first round. I don't want the 5th-year deal. I would rather take someone who has higher ceiling and a lower floor than Matthew Golden. Next that I could slip out is Jalen Walker. I mean, I think everyone can agree that Jalen Walker is the most question mark of a prospect. He kind of took over that Nolan Smith role with Georgia, but not to the same level that Nolan Smith was doing it. He's that blitzing linebacker who definitely is more of a box linebacker. Just blitzes a lot. He takes advantage of, that dominant defensive line with Georgia and getting to the quarterback when they open up the running lanes for him. I just don't see it. I don't see him as good of a box player as Nolan Smith. He's not my cup of tea at linebacker. I think a team that could take him could be the Ravens, in the first round. If there's going to be a team that's going to take him, I think the Ravens could be that team. They need a Patrick Queen replacement. I think Jalen Walker could be that Patrick Queen replacement. But at that point, if you're the Ravens, if you have Jahad Campbell and Jalen Walker both on the board, you're taking Jahad Campbell 10 times out of 10. You might even be taking Demetrius from South Carolina at that point, right? Like, I don't see the hype. I don't see the hype for Jalen Walker. I don't see the skill set translating in the NFL. Again, Nolan Smith shows that it can translate, so I may be wrong. But for me, I just don't see Jalen Walker being a productive guy that I would take in the first round. Maybe in the second round, and you can have the expectations aren't as big. Because if you're a first rounder, you got to hit, right? You got to hit. But if you're a second, maybe even a third rounder, if you hit, it's awesome. If you don't hit, you can go to another team and get another chance. But Jalen Walker, I don't know, man. I just don't see it. I don't see it. There's a different stigma that comes with first rounders. I don't think that Jalen Walker will fit that. Another couple of guys I don't think could slip out of the first round. I think Nick Skyerton from Texas A&M could slip out. The only reason I don't have Shamar Stewart over Nick Skyerton is that Nick Skyerton is not as athletic as Shamar Stewart. Shamar lit up the combine, was like a 10.0 prospect, I think, on his RAS score. But the only thing that Nick Skyerton has going for him is that he can either be a 3-4 or 4-3 defensive lineman. Shamar Stewart is kind of set in stone as that pass rusher, outside pass rusher. But Nick Skyerton could easily slip inside if they needed him to, bulk him up a little bit. He has the run stopping ability. And yeah, Nick Skyerton, I just don't see being a first round prospect. I think he'd absolutely fall out. But if he does go in the first round, I think a team, maybe the Buffalo Bills could take him, right? They need more defensive line help. But I think the Chiefs are the number one team that they could grab Nick Skyerton and turn him into a productive inside guy on the defensive line. And then another guy that could slip out of the first round, this is absolutely nothing against him. I think it's Josh Conerly from Oregon. The only reason I say that is that maybe teams go, you know what? Let's not take a tackle right now, because in the NFL draft, when it comes to tackle and guard, outside the first round, maybe Gray Zabel could slip out of the first round, but I don't think he will. But Josh Conerly, Tyler Booker, Donovan Jackson, Avonte Ursaray, Tate Ratledge, Marcus Imbo, Jared Wilson, Jonas Savani, Wyatt Millum, Cam Williams, Charles Grant, Anthony Belton, Jalen Rivers, Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, Willie Lampkin, Chase Johnny Cornelius, Jalen Travis, Dylan Fairchild. There's so many good tackles and interior players in this class in the second, third, fourth round that maybe a team goes, you know what? Is Josh Conerly really that much higher than Avonte Ursaray on our board when you have guys like, for example, Landon Jackson, Michael Williams, Xavier Watts, both available? I think we could go that direction instead. I think a team could be talked out of, they could talk themselves out of taking Josh Conerly, who I think could be a day one left tackle. I want to make sure it's very clear. I like Josh Conerly. I like a Johnny Cornelius. Josh Conerly could also move in the guard if you wanted him to, but I do think he could play left tackle in the NFL. So yeah, maybe teams go, you know what, we need a left tackle in the future. We think he can do it. Maybe the Eagles, they did extend, what is his name? They did extend Jordan Mailata. So maybe they go, you know what, he's our Jordan Mailata replacement eventually. Or he's our, what is their right tackle's name? He is the really good guy. Really, he's a veteran. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on Lane Johnson. Maybe he's our Lane Johnson replacement, so he does go in the first round. But I think there is a chance that maybe they don't see it as a priority towards the end of the first round. The Bills, you have your left tackle, right tackle. The Chiefs have their left tackle, right tackle for the most part figured out this year. The Eagles obviously have their left tackle, right tackle. The Lions do. The Ravens do. The Rams could maybe take him. But I just don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Again, nothing against Josh Conerly's skill, but I think maybe they don't have Avonte Ursaray that much lower than him, or they don't have Charles Grant or whoever you want to put beneath them. And they say, you know what? Let's go after Trey Amos, who we have 5 spots higher than Josh Conerly. And we only have Avonte Ursaray 1 spot below Josh Connerly, cool. It makes more sense to grab the guy who's 5 spots higher on our board than the guy who is 1 spot below the guy available right there. So yeah, that's why guys I think can slip out of the first round. Guys I think go in the first round. Again, next Thursday and Friday, I will be going live for the NFL draft for the first, second, and third round. Please consider coming to join me. 5th annual NFL Draftathon with sports stuff. It's exciting, guys. It's so exciting. Again, more videos coming this way. Wow, more videos coming your way this week, and I'm just so excited. I love the NFL draft. It's my favorite time around the NFL. As you guys can tell, I put out so many videos about the NFL draft. But yeah, if you guys enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.